welcome back to a brand new video. I'm Tony King. I'm a photographer here in Brunswick, Georgia, next to Jekyll Island. I'm underneath the Sydney Linear Bridge and I just drove in and I wanted to stop here and take some photos. And this is a way of just like exploring a location, finding the places underneath a bridge to explore. But if you can see behind me and how dark it is on my face, it is a very cloudy and grim day. It's pretty early in the day, there's a lot of wind going on, so maybe there's some motion I can capture. My main focus is managing the light, so I want to shoot at a higher shutter speed, and I probably could say goodbye to a lot of shallow depth of field and focus on using the lines of the bridge, leading lines, depth in that regard, rather than just through shallow depth of field. And I'm really starting to reconsider how I've set myself up here just sitting here because I'm super dark on the camera over here. It just adds to the mood and accentuates the weather of this particular day. Often when I think of a grim day, I think that there's very little color, but sometimes the more muted colors can be made a little bit more vibrant. And so when the light is hitting the water and all these ripples, you can create that contrast and see it and really bring out, in this example, the greens in that water to make a really vibrant, contrasty, and dramatic image. My ISO is also relatively low. I can also counteract some things and get more information out of shadows if I up my ISO, so I'll also attempt that. Just trying to get a few different things in a few different ways so that I can really practice taking photos on a dark and dreary day and not just say, okay, well, this is a loss. I shouldn't take photos on a day like this. I should absolutely take photos on a day like this. And I think you should take photos and be able to take photos at any time of day, any place. Just pulling off on the side of the road here before I get to a more interesting, potentially stop. This is a great way to practice and get myself in the swing of things on a day that is quite windy and gray, and in terms of a standard of photography sense, a little bit ugly. There's a few major things to consider when photographing in these scenarios. If you're shooting too bright of a scene, well, the entire sky is going to have no detail whatsoever. It's even harder to get detail than it is on just like a bright sunny afternoon because the sky itself is already kind of uniform and gray, and you can also create a lot of silhouettes in that way. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not quite as effective as like a bright sunny day because there is a little bit of blue and that light is kind of adding something to your subjects. You're using the Z-axis of the bridge itself, going from upper left all the way into the end of the frame and disappearing, trying to get a lot of information on the actual bridge itself, upping some of those shadows. You might gain a little bit of grain, but that's not really a big deal if you ask me. You get some detail, you see all the different pieces of the bridge, even though the sky itself is blank. And I think in this image, the composition is what is making it work more, and that is something that you really have to emphasize, especially when the clouds are in this way. But then there's also the opportunity to look at details, and so there's a lot of uniform colors. Maybe there's some flowers I can take photos of, or just the coastline. So different things like that are things to focus on when you are photographing a dark and dreary day. So today, as I walk around under this bridge, I'm working on finding a way to manage how much light I'm gonna be getting in so that I can get some details into the sky, but also using this as a compositional practice because I can't use as much colors to aid in my photos as much as I need to frame something to look nicer. So those are kind of the thoughts behind this video. Hopefully it's encouraging, and hopefully some of the images that I've shown you here are interesting, and hopefully I've given you a little bit of inspiration towards what kind of images you might be able to take on a day such as this one if you maybe thought it's not a day worth going out to take photos on. I've been Tony King. I'm a photographer here on YouTube. You can support me by subscribing to my channel and checking out all the different videos I'm making about photography, about my trip to Jekyll Island, and about so much more that's all photography related. So hopefully you do stick around, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.